Hello, good morning, everyone. Very warm welcome to babycode Free IELTS classes. I'm Tanu Vermani, an IDP certified trainer and a TEFL TESOL certified trainer. So today I'm back with my listening module. I'm going to cover all the topics related to the listening module. But students, one advice for you is that please go through the reading videos, the writing sessions, and the speaking sessions we have already covered. Take a look at that and start preparing for those. Okay, the students who are planning to give exams soon in the month of December or in January, start watching those videos and just have an advantage from those. So let's start our today's session. Today's session is all about what is IELTS listening. That means an introduction to the listening module. Now we have covered reading, we have covered writing, we have covered speaking also, and the one which is left is now listening, which we are going to cover now. Right now, what is IELTS listening? IELTS listening is all about when you want to, like, when you have to hear the audio, and on the basis of that audio, you have to find out the answers of your question. So, listening module, it consists of 4 sections. In each section, you are going to hear a recording of a monologue or a conversation. And each recording will last for around approximately 5 minutes. The listening section, this listening module is for 30 minutes. That means the total time duration for listening module is 30 minutes, and the audio recordings will be in the form of monologues, or it can be a conversation between two or more people. One important point to remember is that IELTS listening test is common for both general as well as academic candidate. It is not different, it is same, and it is divided into 4 sections. Now, what you should know about listening test. There are certain things you should keep in mind while preparing for the listening test. Whenever you start preparing for any module, the very first suggestion is that you should know about the pattern of the exam, right? Now, time allotted for the listening section, that means the duration for listening test is 30 minutes. Now, you have two ways to give the test. First is the paper-based or the computer-delivered test. Now, for a paper-based test, you will be given an extra 10 minutes of a time so that you can transfer your answers to the answer sheet, right? Okay. Now, for paper-based test, you know that you will be having extra 10 minutes of a time so that you can transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Whereas if I talk about computer delivered test, you have only 2 minutes to recheck your answer. That means within that 2 minutes, you can only review your answer. You can't transfer your answer. So simultaneously in that 30 minutes, you have to write your answer. Now there are 4 sections and the difficulty level gets on increasing from section 1 to 2 and then 3 to the fourth one. Each section will be having the 10 questions. So there are total 40 questions. And each question carries 1 mark. Now, what examiner gives you? Examiner gives you some time to look into the questions before you start listening to the recording. That is played and in the end also. So before starting the section 1, you have some time, around 30 seconds, to look at your questions. You have some time, you can just analyze your questions and start predicting it. So, and after completion of sections, you have some time to review your answers also. You can check your answers that you have written. Next important thing to keep in mind, that listening test is same for both academic as well as the general training categories. Now, to answer these questions, you have to be Like you need to have a good understanding of the monologues as well as the conversation so that you can interpret them and you can write your answers correctly. Because the words in the audio and the questions might not be exactly the same, they can be paraphrased also, right? So you should keep in mind. Whenever you're writing your word count, just have a look at your instruction that what is your word count limit. Be cautious when writing your answer because some of these instructions would specify that whether your answer should be a word or a two words or a three words or it contain number or numbers, right? So you have to look at your instructions first. Now, how is the listening band calculated? How do you get the scores of your listening band? You can have a look at the right side of my screen. Now, this table will show that how IELTS listening scores are calculated. Now, suppose if I talk about academic students and their target is 6.5, then they need to have correct answers as 26 to 29. So, if your correct answers are 26, then also you will get 6.5, right? And even for 29 correct answers, you will get 6.5. So, for an advantage, you should always target 30 because you will get 7 marks here, right? Now, what are the parts of listening test? In the initial, I told you that there are 4 sections in the listening test and the difficulty level gets on increasing in different parts. So part 1 is all about the conversation. Conversation between two people on a everyday social context. For example, conversation to book a room in a hotel. You are just calling the person and taking a details about a room, that what kind of room they have, any kind of amenities you're looking for, your timings, and your details about you. Part 2. Part 2 will be a monologue. Now, monologue means a single person will be there talking about giving a talk or a speech. And the context is again social. For example, a talk on using time effectively. Part 3 and part 4 is all about academic one. Part 3 is a conversation between 3 or more people and they are talking about educational context, training context. For example, some students, they are discussing about their assignments. 2 students or 1 tutor, or they are discussing about their homeworks also, right? Part 4. Part 4 is a monologue related to the academic part. For example, a one person. Now suppose I'm giving a monologue. I'm talking about monologue and I am giving a speech on an academic content. So, example, university lecture. Now, section 1, the audio recording will be for 5 minutes approximately, and the question numbers will be 1 to 10. Examples: an interview about student well being, a telephone conversation about buying travel tickets, a student asking about accommodation. Listening section 2, it will be a monologue about social life. Questions will be 11 to 20. Example, a radio program about local history, a short talk about healthy eating, a presentation about student services. Section number 3 is academic conversation. So questions you will get is 21 to 30. And the topics could be a discussion between student and a tutor about an assignment, a seminar discussion about research project, or 2 students discussing about the homework. So it will be related to training, educational one. Section 4 is an academic lecture. Questions will be 31 to 40. And the examples will be a lecture on a history of photography, a lecture on volcanoes, a lecture on animal behavior. You need not to have any knowledge on these topics to answer these questions. You just have to listen it very carefully because here you have to show your listening ability. Now, how to answer these listening answers, like how to write these listening answers in a paper base, you need to ensure that you are not making any spelling mistakes. If you do spelling mistakes, if you're writing the answer correct, but the spelling is incorrect, you will be marked as wrong. You will not get marks for the same. You may choose to write all the answers in caps or smalls. It's your choice. You can write all the answers in capitals or in the small letters. This has no effect on your score. This is your complete choice. Now you then have 10 minutes to transfer your answers from the question paper to answer sheet, because you have to transfer now 40 answers, right? So you must use a pencil or any spelling errors. Like so use this, or so that you cannot make any spelling errors. You can erase it, and if you make any spelling errors, you will be penalized for the same. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the exam techniques. The very first is that you have to predict your answer before you start listening to the audio. This thing will help you identify so that you can look at the type of information required and you can lead to the target listening. Like what is supposed to be your answer, so you will target that part. Identified parallel meanings. That means ready to make a connection between what speaker says and what your question demands from you. So you are identifying the parallel meaning. Check your grammar carefully. Now, if you're making any grammatical error, then again your answer will be counted as incorrect here. In sentence completion task, you may need to change the speaker's words so that you can fit the question correctly, right? So always check your grammar. Practice using different skills at the same time. You need to use all your reading, listening and writing skills at the same time during this. Now listening section, it requires all of your senses to work together at the same time. Your mind is working, your eyes are on the question paper, your hands are writing the answer, your ears are listening to the audio, so all of your senses are working. Okay, next is improve your spelling. If your answer is marked incorrect, if spelling is not correct, right? So make sure you write the spelling correctly. Now, some more important points to remember: that rewarding will be played only once. So be focused for the whole time. You will not get another chance to go through the recording. This is the most important step. Make sure you prepare your answers well and concentrate on it. Now, in a computer-based test, you get only 2 minutes to recheck your answers. So make sure you are quick and prompt with your answers. You don't leave anything behind. Next is you will be asked to answer in different word counts for each question. According to instructions, you are required to write exact number of words as answers in the answer sheet. Next, before the audio is played, you get to read the question first. So make sure you are using this time wisely and cautiously. You can read the questions before, underline your keywords, try thinking about the potential paraphrasing also. Next is students are allowed to write Students are allowed to write on a question paper. Yes, you can write. You can write from making notes, underline keywords. You can jot down the paraphrase words, write answers to any question. You can use question paper to make notes. In fact, it is a useful activity because it helps you to discover and locate your answers with the ease, right? And for listening test question paper, it is always recommended that you should use a pencil to answer the question. Hence, you make sure that you do not forget eraser or a sharpener along. Writing incorrect spellings can lead to entire answer being like marked wrong. So make sure you recheck your spellings again and again. Discover your mistakes and rectify them at the same time. A student who is not good at writing spellings, please start practicing for the spelling errors. Now, for resources, you can go to the babycode application. There are lots of mock tests available. Every day we release one new mock test, so you can start practicing from them. Okay. Now you can see on my screen on the right side, there's a listening practice. So whenever you open babycode application, you will be having these practice tests. So start practicing. You can check out our live session on the YouTube and on the babycode application. Provide your comments, do the star rating so that I can know that yes, you are understanding the topic and you're preparing well. So those who are planning to give exam in the month of December or January, start practicing from our application and take an advantage of the free education campaign. Thank you so much for watching my live session number 1. Stay tuned. I'm going to cover up all the listening topics here. For any doubts, you can write in the comment section. Okay, bye.